Good late morning to all of you social media friends, connections, and of course, others who have shared your time with me and my co-hosts who will join us shortly. So for all of you who may have tuned in to one of our previous episodes, Jason and I, because I guess, just start of summer or change of the season, but I think really it's also because, life gets busy. I'm sure you missed seeing us last month. So here we are back at again, consistently getting in front of you. And before I tap Jason on his trailer, right? He's camping out on his trailer, getting ready to join me as a host. Let's get his fan base to give him a nice warm welcome, everyone. Here we go. And you got to love the one fan there with the double fist pumping, right? That shows how excited he was when Jason helped him with his personal needs, selling and moving. So with that, let's bring Jason into the conversation today. And for all of you watching, where are you today? You're in this episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us. Sorry. Here we go. And here comes Jason. Yo, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Good. I thought I'd break every rule of streaming podcasting today. Outside, wore black.
That's all right.
Take some sips off my soda. Got a hat on. Didn't shave. So I'm breaking all the rules.
But every time I've seen you, you've always had your tough beard. So for me, it's the same thing.
It's a little bushier than normal.
It's a little bushy, all right. Yeah. And wearing black, I must admit, in the summer. Yeah. Today you got a little reprieve, but in the summer it's a little tough because you're gonna soak up all that heat, man.
Yeah, I'm under it's like a 3 seasons thing, so it's fine. Yeah.
All right. But
in the shade.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, no, I'm glad you joined me today, joined our audience today from your natural landscape. Why? Because, hey, everyone, welcome to summer.
Yeah.
Welcome to your summer. So, Jason, since we last saw each other, care to lead us off in today's conversation with your perspective, your one and only perspective of how veterans have benefited from your help, how veterans have benefited from this market that's defying gravity. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think it's been for veterans specifically and for, active duty military. If you're in a situation right now where you have to sell something, you're probably going to get a pretty good price for it if you position it correctly in the market. There's such a shortage of inventory in greater Chicago in general, and then nationally beyond. It's kind of a general nationwide trend, just very short inventory. But people still need houses. People still are moving. So if you have a house and you want to sell, then you're going to be in a good position. You're probably going to be able to get it sold for the price you want.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's basic economics, right? Yeah. When the supply of something is X, but the demand is X plus Y and Z,
Yep.
Things go fast. Go fast. So if you may be a veteran who, after hearing what just Jason dropped in front of you, you've got a life event that you are trying to manage and contemplate how to work through it, right? A veteran, just like you see here, toward the end of today's episode, we'll drop a simple way as to how you can reach out to us to start that conversation. So with that, let's get real with each other, right? We talked about the real estate market is defying gravity, but that is very local because there are some other metro areas where maybe that's not the case, correct?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to reach out to a local real estate, local mortgage professional to help you navigate through life's events, correct?
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So let's bring this up. I know recently you sold this lovely home, Jason.
Yep.
Talk to us about how you were able to sell it in 30 days, if not clearly less than 30 days.
Yeah, so this is active duty military. He's moving his family out to California. He had orders to move out there. So they bought this house during the pandemic when he had orders to come here to Illinois. And they got a great rate.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't want to give up those sub 3 rates. And that's kind of part of the inventory squeeze. But, you know, he didn't have a choice. So he wanted to maximize the money he was going to get back from this house. So I priced it pretty aggressively in the market, pretty high. It's one of the higher sales in that neighborhood in years. And it really just took one weekend, I think 3 days before we had the contract. We did one open house. One of my mentees did that. A lot of people came through on a rainy day. I mean, in the rain, if there's a lot of inventory, people aren't coming through, but there's no inventory. So a lot of people came through.
Right.
And it helps.
Not to mention, I think human nature being what it is, if those interested parties, that's who they are initially, are coming to look at a property on a rainy day, they must be somewhat serious, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always said if I'd rather have one person show up during a snowstorm than, 100 people show up during a sunny day, because that one person, wants to buy a house in a snowstorm.
True. And it only takes one buyer, one good offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, talk to us about this, because you touched on it. You said you priced it in the way you priced it. And before you chime in, let me now move the conversation for all of you watching and listening to us today. I want Jason to lean in now to start debunking some seller myths. So talk to us about how you priced it, where you priced it, and why.
Well, I mean, we just looked at the area, and we looked at, we did our basic market analysis. We ran the comps. It's a newer house. He made a few improvements to it, or not newer. It was a brand new construction when he bought it.
Yeah.
But he made improvements on that property. So we highlighted those improvements, kind of looked at what things we're going for, and then we marked up against that another 5% just to see. Ran some models on it, and it looked good. So I priced it a little higher than that, and we got the full price offer. So,
wow.
Yeah, for me, it's funny because this same guy has another property in the city that I'm selling for him, and we just got it under contract. And it's in not a great neighborhood in the city, but he wanted to maximize his money on that too. So again, we priced it aggressively, but because of the neighborhood, it sat for over 90 days. We still got a full price offer on it though, because that's how tight inventory is. So if you're willing to wait, you're going to get more money right now.
Right.
But you got to be willing to sweat it out. Selling fast right now isn't necessarily the way to go. There's a myth for you right there. Selling fast is not always the best.
Oh, I like that. That's counterintuitive. What's then? So on this thought, if you were to have priced it aggressive, maybe below market value, do you think that would have helped your seller any more than what you did?
No, because his goal was to get the most amount of money. He's being transferred out to California, so he was moving into base housing. He doesn't need to sell this house to buy another house immediately. So his goals lined up with just maximizing that price. So looking back on it, I kind of wish I'd priced it even higher, because maybe we could have got more. But you don't want to get too greedy, because it also has to appraise. That's a part of the process, and I always make sure to walk the appraiser through the house, point everything out. If they want comps, I'll run comps for them. And just, you have to really talk to the appraiser a lot too. So
very true. All right, what's another seller myth, Jason?
Another myth. I thought you had a good one earlier.
Well, we'll switch to the buyer ones in a little bit. Is another let me throw the softball out there. Is another seller myth that of, hey, I can do it myself, meaning FSBO. That's a myth, right?
Yeah, I mean, the data shows that those houses, when they do sell, they sell for, in our area, they sell for about 11 to 12% less than a house that is marketed by a realtor. I mean, that's just what the realtor does when they sell the house. They market it for you to all the other realtors. They make it look as appealing as possible. They do those little things for you that you're not going to think about to make sure that the house does get sold. So I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do once a week is I drive around and I actually look for sale by owner signs, and I stop and have a conversation with those people. And a lot of my houses that I sell started out with that sign in the window, for sale by owner.
Wow.
So, yeah. And those folks always, a lot of times those houses have had a sale sign for a year and a half, you know, and it's just a matter of finding out what their goals are and helping them sell it. Yeah, but just putting a sign up and thinking you can sell it yourself it's not like your car where you can just park it in the yard and try to sell it, you know. It's not that easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. Not to mention, in this day and age, let's get real. You have to be somewhat careful if you are selling something by yourself. But let's keep it to real estate. If you are doing a for sale by owner, here's my next comment. Just because you can sell it for sale by owner doesn't mean you should always do it that way. Why? Because there are risks involved in doing it that way, right? One of which is you're leaving some money on the table. That's what you're talking about. And second, you know, if you are a FSBO and I'm looking at you, watching us, who's thinking, Jason, Bill, I'm thinking about doing a FSBO. How would you go vet these people who are calling you as interested parties if you've never done that before as a real estate or mortgage professional? There's some danger there, right?
And there's a legal liability also that a lot of people don't talk about. There's FHA, fair housing laws.
True.
And if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you could very easily get sued.
Yeah.
Very easily. And we, you know, realtors are trained what not to ask and what to ask and what we're allowed to talk about, what we're not allowed to talk about. And we do courses every 2 years to make sure that we don't screw that up. And if we do, we get penalized. We can lose our license. Right. But if you're a private citizen and you bring somebody through the house and you make a comment about their source of income, if you make a comment about their religion, their race, their ethnicity, I mean, their age in some places, their family, you know, how their family is to form together, how many kids they have. I mean, there's a lot of ways you get in trouble and get sued.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I have insurance to cover me if I screw up on that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But let's be real. There's certain things that you just shouldn't say when you're selling a home, especially if you're selling or thinking about for sale by owner, because why shoot yourself in the foot? Saying the wrong thing that might just you know, have other people give you the side eye, like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Right. And that's where a real estate broker professional is so apropos, because they know how to do it professionally to attract as many of the interested parties to come take a look at the product. Any other seller myth you want to drop before we switch to the other side?
Yeah, I think one of the big seller myths that lately I'd like to put out there, and I haven't heard a lot, but I'm seeing it, you know, I've talked to my colleagues about, is staging. A lot of people, they think they got to stage their house. They got to spend thousands of dollars to bring in some fake furniture and, you know, some inflatable bed with a bedspread over it. And it's just, we're in an age now, if the house is empty, you don't have to stage it because we can do that all digitally.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, I do. Any house that's empty now, why would we spend thousands of dollars when we can spend 300 to just digitally stage the photos? And then I could stage them. If somebody sees the staging and they say, oh, well, I don't know, I can't envision it. Like, I'm country western and this is very modern. I'm like,
Oh,
wait one moment.
wait one moment.
Here you go. Here's what it would look like country western. And then they kind of are, oh, okay, I could envision myself living here.
Yeah.
So, and we'll put those photos up in the different empty rooms throughout the house so that people can see the space, you know, in person, empty, and then they can visualize it with the photos. So
yeah.
I think wasting money on staging, risking damaging your doors and windows, bringing furniture in and out, you know, scratching floors. I mean, that all happens during staging. So I'm recommending to all my clients now to stop. Don't do staging. We haven't staged a property in over a year at this point. We do everything digital now.
Yeah. Well, in other words, do the digital or virtual staging. It's kind of like, what theme do you want? Let me push a button. Boom.
Yep. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Cool beans. Cool beans. All right. Let's now switch to busting and debunking some buyer myths. So I'll lead us off, and Jason, you can chime in and tell me, yeah, spot on, Bill, or yeah, let me add my perspective on it. My first buyer myth is this: the lowest rate or judging financing by rate alone is the best solution for you, buyer. You agree with that, Jason?
No way.
Why not? Come on, tell us why.
There are so many other factors that go into it than just the rate. So many other factors.
Yeah. And as I say this to a lot of my potential buyer clients, current and past buyer clients, if you look at what you think is right for you, financing wise, by obviously human nature, lowest rate possible, well, doesn't make sense. Why? Because you have to look at the payment. The lender is always looking at what is the total payment, total housing payment, PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and sometimes even association fees to see if you even qualify. So whether the rate is X versus Y, let's get real, buyers. If you don't qualify for the monthly payment, doesn't matter what the rate is per se. Right? Let's talk about another
100%.
buyer myth. Let's talk about another buyer myth. I get this one a lot, and that is closing fees. OMG. I cannot believe this dollar amount of closing fees. And one of the things that sometimes we have to bust that myth about is, well, all of those closing fees are being disclosed to you, but they are fed from 3 buckets, as opposed to, they're not all lender fees. You agree with that one?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Why do you think people would trip up on that?
Yeah, because the lender's the one telling them that they have to pay it. So that's why they think it's the lender.
Well, that's true. That's true. That the lenders
needs to be explained very thoroughly.
There you go. Yeah, the lenders are disclosing that up front, and they should. But where I think buyers have that fallacy and the myth is, OMG, lender, these are all lender fees. And this is where buyers, 2 things have to happen. Your chosen lender needs to take the time to educate and explain to you what are the 3 buckets that feed into your lender fees, your closing fees. By the way, whether you're paying cash or getting a loan, there are fees, plain and simple. I'm just putting it out there. All right. And of course, you buyer, you have to spend the time to, of course, engage in a conversation to understand and listen. If you choose not to do that, well, hey, shame on you.
Yep.
Right.
That's
all right.
True.
What's another buyer myth you want to drop? If not, I'll drop one.
Well, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off what you were just saying, I have a lot of folks who will go to the third-party real estate websites that just kind of take all the MLS data and put them together. not naming anybody, but you know the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, your monthly payment would be this. And my clients come to me and, oh, we can afford this house. And no, you can't. That's PITI, pity, which you just already mentioned is, there's interest, there's taxes, there's insurance. Like, did you look at the taxes? Did you look at the insurance?
Right.
So, even these sites are feeding into that myth too, and that problem.
I know
that we run into. So this is more important than ever that, the lenders and the brokers that we're talking to people and making sure they understand.
Yeah.
It's a complicated process.
Very true. Very true. I'll throw down the last myth for our conversation today, Jason. And the last myth is this: to all of you buyers, your down payment, if you have to have one, or your downstroke, is the same as your funds to close. See, that's a myth, I think. Let me tell you why. It's a myth because in certain metro areas, certainly here in the state of Illinois, there is a difference between those two things. Why? Because you and I both know this, Jason, at closing, or as we get very close to closing, we then have to figure out what are the seller prorated property tax credits, right? And when that kicks in, buyers, it just might show you that the actual funds to close is less than what you expected. That's a nice, pleasant surprise.
Yeah. That's a nice one. Yeah.
All right. So how can you get in touch with Jason and or myself if you are looking at your life event, which is moving to your next destination, therefore having to sell a property and or buy your next home? All you have to do, audience members, is simply scan the QR codes that you see here next to our lovely headshots, next to our names, and Jason and myself will gladly start a conversation with you and share our time, our expertise, and our knowledge of how to get you from point A to point B. That's it for today, Jason. Anything else you want to drop?
No, I just say, if there's people from out of state looking at coming to the Chicagoland area, and you're not really sure where to start, give us a call, text us, email us, whatever. I've worked in over 80 neighborhoods and suburbs, doing real estate. I mean, who knows? You've probably worked in hundreds at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, if I don't know somebody in an area that you're interested in, I'm going to I have somebody in my network that can help you. Or if you're not sure where you should be looking, we can have a conversation, and typically within 20 minutes of just asking some questions and listening, I can figure out where some neighborhoods where you would be a good fit and be comfortable with kind of your goals and your family goals. So,
there you have it. Audience members, time, geography, not an issue. The only thing we ask for from you is let's start a conversation. Let's figure out, like I said, how to get you from point A to point B. So that's it for today's episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us. Jason, enjoy the rest of your afternoon and your natural respite.
My Monday office.
There you go. Your Monday office. Yeah. So until we see each other, everyone, in the next episode, 4 weeks out. That's it for now. Bye.
Yeah. Take care.